How are you doing today? This is Gwen. Let's talk about patch 12.23 notes League of Legends late December's patch. And this is actually the last patch of this year. The weeks after the preseason's update, time has come for Riot Games to introduce another set of major changes to League of Legends with patch 12.23. Preseason is still going strong, and we are in the middle of a big stat or system update. Prime time to experiment with new ideas and builds in preparation of season 13. As expected, the patch focuses on a handful of champions in total. 10 of them are receiving buffs, with champions like Zeri getting a complete revamp. Um, on the other hand, champions like Yuumi and Shyvana, who dominated in patch 12.22, have been nerfed, and two items as well as the adorable Mosstomper have been brought in line. So let's dive in. And the first thing we are going to talk about today is item adjustments. And the first item we have is Mosstomper. Tenacity buff duration went from 3 to 1.5 seconds, a tiny adjustment for our lovely green jungle companion, reducing the tenacity after its shield breaks from 3 to 1.5 seconds. The next one we have here is Ravenous Hydra. AoE splash damage went from 60% AD for melee champions to 30% AD for ranged champions. That all changed to 50% AD for melee champions, 25% AD for ranged champions. Then we have Omnivamp from stacks, 4%. It's actually now removed. Many people have asked Riot to hotfix nerf Ravenous Hydra, as the item was perceived as borderline game breaking by players over the past 3 weeks. It's a relief to many that it is finally being adjusted, having its AoE damage reduced and the additional Omnivamp removed completely. But due to its base stats remaining unchanged, it will remain as one of the strongest options currently available to many champions, melee and ranged alike. And the next item we have here is Sunfire Aegis. Combined cost went from 1,900, total cost went from 2,800 to 2,700, health went from 400 to 500. Contrary to what many players believed would happen, full-fledged tanks did not at all become broken due to the many new items they are able to play and experiment with. 8 out of 10 champions receiving buffs this patch are tanks, which is definitely scary to the players remembering past tank metas. Those champion specific buffs plus the adjustments to Sunfire are hopefully just enough to bring those tanks back into a competitive state without making them unbearable to play against. The next champion we're going to be talking about is Amumu. Base stats went, health growth went from 89 to 100. Q bandage toss went from the mana cost, which was at 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, went to 40, 45, 50, 55, 65. W despair damage per second went from 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. Plus 1, plus 1.15, 1.3, 1.45, 1.6% of target's maximum HP went to 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, plus 1, 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, 2% of target's maximum HP. Then we have E, which is Tantrum. Base magic damage went from 85, 110, 135, 160, 185 plus 50% AP went to 80, 110, 140, 170, 200 plus 50% AP. Amumu is doing a bit too well in the support role, warranting some adjustments to his abilities. Q, his main strength as a support, sees its mana cost increase by 10% per toss, while making up for the nerf with buffs to his E and W, as well as upping his health gain per level up, hopefully pushing him into more viable jungle setup, while still allowing him to be flex picked as a support. Due to his healthy clear and plenty of AoE capabilities, we recommend him as a beginner level pick if you want to learn how to jungle. The next champion we have here is Shogath, and passive, which is carnivore, mana restored on enemy kills, 3.5 to 7.5 to 7.75 based on level. That changed to 4.7 to 9.5 based on level. And W Feral Scream damage, base damage went from 75, 100, 2500, 75, 225, 275 to 80, 135, 190, 245, 300. Then we have our feast. Cooldown went from 80 seconds to 80, 70, 60 seconds. And another champion receiving a bit of love this patch is Shogath. While the base damage buff on W won't really be noticeable due to most players maxing it either second or third, the additional mana sustain in lane paired with the cooldown reduction on his R later stages of the game will help him survive both laning phase and enter fights with stacks and are up and available to wreak havoc as a frontline full tank or hybrid tanky mage. And the next champion we have is Dr. Mondo. Base stats went from base magic resist to 32 down to 29. Base resist growth went from 2.05 to 2.3. Attack speed went from 0.72 to 0.67. Attack damage growth went from 3.5 to 2.5. Passive goes where he pleases. Canister health loss went from 7% of current health to 3%. Canister heal went from 8% maximum health to 4%. Max health regen per 5 seconds went from 0.8 to 1.6%. Linear progression that changed to 0.4 to 2.5%. Non-linear progression equal at level 11. Then Q infected bonesaw health cost went from 50-60. W, which is hard zapper, health cost went from 5% of current health to 8% of current health. Gray health healed after not taking damage from 0 to 50%. Damage stored as gray health went from 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 to 80 to 95% based on level in the first 0.75 seconds, then 25% afterwards. Duration went from 4 to 3 seconds. E, blunt force trauma. Passive bonus AD went from 15, 20, 15, 30, 35 plus 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 based on missing health. That all changed to 2.53, 3.54, 4.5% maximum health. Health cost went from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It was an increase of 10 per each slot. Cooldown went from 8, 7.5, 7, 6.5, 6 seconds. That all went to 9, 8.25, 7.5, 6.75, 6 seconds. Damage per bonus damage to monsters went from 200 to 150%. Then we have our maximum dosage. Missing health gained as maximum health went from 8 to 11.5, 15% down up to 15, 20 to 25%. New, which is the Mega Mondo heals at rank 3. Mondo's are healing effect are increased by an additional 5% per nearby enemy champion. And Mondo Mad that was removed are no longer gives bonus AD. We know that Dr. Mondo would be getting adjusted since he is VGU. He's looked better and has also improved gameplay, but some of the changes have felt rather lackluster from the OG Mondo pre-VGU. So Riot has made some more changes to try and bring this unkillable monster up to speed. With these changes, Mondo is going to feel much better to play with and hopefully also against. His W is actually a usable ability now with these changes, which is what the community has been most upset with. Heartsteel may be a very dominant item, but the feared tank meta did not arrive just yet, warranting buffs to individual champions such as our Doctor. The next champion we have is Kisante. We'll start with the base stats. Health regen went from 8.5 to 9.5. Health growth went from 104 to 108. Then we have E footwork. The new one that was added is auto attack reset. E will now partially reset auto attacks in Kisante's base move, and will be a full auto attack reset while in his all out form. Wall of Forgiveness adjusted E so that if Kisante is very close to dashing through a wall, he will now go through the wall. Kisante has seen one of the most successful champion releases in quite some time, being neither ridiculously over or underpowered. Still, losing half your health bar upon using your ultimate is rough, and our favorite new tank assassin is getting some minor buffs to help him feel a bit less hit or miss to play with. The change to his E should make him feel a lot more smoother to play now. So we're excited to keep seeing him played in the top lane lots. The next champion we have is Kassadin, and we'll start with Q, which is Null Sphere strength, shield strength went from 60, 90, 120, 150, 180 plus 40% AP, went to 80, 110, 140, 170, 200 plus 30% AP. Shield spawn speed. Shield is granted when the Q projectile leaves Kassadin's hand. Shield is granted when Q is cast. Then we have E Force Pulse. Cooldown went from 5 seconds to 21, 19, 17, 15, 13 seconds. Stacks Begun was completely removed. This spell no longer requires a certain number of stacks in order to be cast. The new one that was added, Send Your Energy. Ally and enemy spells cast nearby Kassadin reduce E's cooldown by 1 second. Kassadin is receiving neither strong nerfs or buffs this patch, rather an adjustment. Q granting its shield immediately when cast will help Kassadin players time trade a lot better now, and removing the heart requirement of spell cast in his vicinity in order to activate E. Force Pulse should make him more easy to pick up, as well as making it a bit easier to play against him. E not being able to be cast twice during the rather short late games fights where Kassadin is known to excel might hurt him a little more than the buffs are worth. We will have yet to see how these changes affect him. The next champion we have is Kayn, and we'll start with the first skill, which is passive, the Darkened Scythe. Shadow Assassin bonus damage went from 8 to 30% based on level to 13 up to 40% based on level. E, which is the Shadow Stab, heal upon entering terrain, went from 90, 100, 110, 120, 130 plus 35% bonus AD, went to 90, 100, 110, 120, 130 plus 40%, 45% bonus AD. Slight buffs are coming this patch for Shadow Assassin Kayn in particular. His red form is still considered vastly superior option in most games, only with a handful of players remaining faithful to his blue form. The bonus, the passive bonus increasing by over 50% early is massive, and we'll hopefully see red Kayn remain mains as well as new Kayn players reconsider their options. Okay, let's repeat that again. Slight buffs are coming this patch for Shadow Assassin Kayn in particular. His red form is still considered the vastly superior option in most games, with only a handful of players remaining faithful to the blue form. The passive bonus increase by 50% early is massive, and we will hopefully see red Kayn mains as well as new Kayn players reconsider their options. The next champion we have here is Lilia, and we'll start with Q Blooming Blows. Magic damage went from 35, 50, 65, 80, 95 plus 40% AP, went to 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 plus 40% AP. Outer Edge true damage went from 35, 50, 65, 80, 95 plus 40% AP to 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 plus 40% AP. Lilia's Q ability is not only her main tool for clearing camps, it is also her main source of damage in fights. Having her base damage reduced by up to 15 is a huge nerf for the champion, considering how players are permanently spamming this ability. No matter if they are clearing or fighting enemies, Lilia recently got turned into a melee champion by Riot, proxy buffing her due to various item interactions like Demonic Embrace that increase their effects if used by melees. This nerf will be necessary to stop her from prancing around other S tier junglers with ease, yet she will remain one of the strongest jungle picks available. The next champion we have is Malphite, and we'll go with his skill E ground slam. Magic damage changed from 60, 95, 130, 165, 200 plus 60% AP to plus 30% armor went to 70, 110, 150, 190, 230 plus 60% AP plus 40% armor. Mana cost went from 50, 55, 60, 65, 70 to 50 at all ranks. One cannot measure a champion's strength simply by looking at their win rates sometimes. Or something that rings true for Malphite in particular, since his win rate is taking blows from many people experimenting with AP hybrid builds currently. Whilst the ability to annihilate poor enemies with your 100 to 0 full AP combo can sound enticing, Malphite performs by far the best, utilizing the new tank items with both buffs to himself directly as well as Sunfire Cape. We expect him to elevate himself into the S tier of top laners this patch. The next champion we have is Maokai. Passive Sab Magic heal 4 to 34 based on level plus 40 to 10% maximum health based on level. That changed to 4 to 34 plus 4 to 12% maximum health. Q Bramble Smash base damage went from 65, 110, 155, 200, 245 plus to 2.25, 2.5, 2.75, 3% of the target's maximum HP went to 70, 120, 170, 220, 270 plus 0.25, 2.5, 2.75, 3% of the target's maximum HP. Bonus damage to monsters went from 80, 100, 120, 140, 160 to 120, 140, 160, 180, 200. Very similar story to Malphite. Maokai has been able to utilize the new tank items supremely well, reaching an almost 53% win rate when building Jackshaw compared to his other builds. With additional base damage to monsters and increased HP scaling on his passive added, Riot wants him to remain an extremely versatile flex pick for top lane, jungle, and support. A champion that can currently be played almost anywhere is something you should not miss out on. Autofill has never been easier for Maokai mains. The next champion we have is Mordekaiser, and we'll start with his skill passive Darkness Rise. Damage cap against monsters went from 180 to 28, 164 based on level, so it's not fixed anymore. And then we have passive proc on monsters, generates a stack on all monster hits, and now it's changed to generate a stack on large monster hits. Mordekaiser got himself a reputation as an insanely fast clearing bruiser jungle, being able to activate his passive almost instantly on the non-single target camps. Therefore, his clear speed is subject to substantial nerfs in 12.23. It is unlikely that these changes to his clear speed will affect his strength as a champion much, more so just bring him back in line with the competition. The next champion we have here is Shyvana. E Flame Breath empowered basic attacks versus marked enemies, 3.5% of targets maximum HP went to 3% of targets maximum HP. A very tiny nerf to Shyvana. She is currently sitting at an almost perfect 50% win rate in jungle roles, with people mostly favoring AP hybrid builds instead of new tank items. Maybe Riot knows something that we don't, which should warrant nerfs. The next champion we have here is Sion. Base stats went from base mana 330 to 400, mana growth went from 42 to 52. Then we have Q, Decimating Smash, went from base damage. It went from 30, 50, 70, 90, 110, went to 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. Sion should have been one of the hardest beneficiaries from the new tank items, especially Heartsteel. Despite some well-known OTPs finding success on him, Sion is currently one of the weakest top laners in the game, and those small buffs to allow him to cast more or less one more rotation will not stop him from being bullied by much stronger bruisers or tanks in the top lane. If more tank items like Sunfire receive buffs whilst items like Ravenous Hydra keep getting nerfed, there may be a path opening up for Sion to see success as the 10,000 HP of frontline trunk he's always meant to be. The next champion we have here is Syndra, and we'll start by W, which is Force of Will. Transcendent upgrade bonus damage went from 15% plus 1.5 per 100 AP to 12%, 2% per 100 AP. Then we have E, Scatter the Weak. Cooldown went from 15 to 17 seconds. Magic damage went from 75, 115, 155, 195 to 135 plus 50% AP to all the same but plus 45% AP. Then we have bug fixes, which when the cooldown fixed a bug where upgrading Q could resist its cooldown. Syndra has been performing outstandingly well in Masters plus solo queue games after her rework. In the right matchups, she will absolutely decimate your entire team. She has done so well in high elos that strong nerfs are now hitting her in 12.23, making her way less viable to be picked in lower elo brackets. Syndra is on her best way to become the next Riz, which isn't exactly a good thing if you're looking to pick her up anytime soon. The next champion we have here is Tahm Kench, and we'll start with his skilled passive and acquired taste. On hit and on Q, bonus magic damage went from 80 to 60 based on level plus 3% bonus health, went from 80 to 60 based on level plus 3% bonus health plus 2% AP per 100 bonus health. Then we have Q, Tongue Lash went from magic damage of 80, 130, 180, 230, 280 plus 90% AP all the way to 100% AP. Self-heal went from 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 plus 3, 3.54, 4.55% missing health to plus 5.5, 5.56, 6.57% missing health. Then we have W, Abyssal Dive, and magic damage went from 100, 135, 170, 205, 240 plus 125% AP, went all the way up to 150% AP. Then we have E, Thick Skin, damage stored to gray health went from 13, 20, 29, 37, 45 went to 15, 23, 31, 39, 47. Increased damage stored to gray health went from 40, 42.5, 45, 47.5, 50% to 42, 44, 46, 48, 50%. Then we have R, Devour. Magic damage went from 100 to 150, 400 plus 15% plus 5 per 100 AP of target's maximum health, went to everything the same but plus 7% per 100 AP of target's maximum health. Then we have Shield, lasts 2.5 seconds after Devour ends. decays by 50 health per 25 seconds after Devour has ended until gone. Town Kench buffs may seem a bit odd at first looking at all the AP values being changed. This does not mean that you should now build him full AP. In fact, there are two reasons for such changes. First, Baron buff translates far better into his kit, and second, hybrid items like Demonic Embrace will become more viable to be picked up and utilized under the right circumstances, which we have already been seeing in 12.22 patch. It is a way to buff the champion without immediately catapulting him into a dominant state in the game, although wouldn't a full AP Tahm Kench be lovely to have on your team? The next champion we have is Trundle. I'll start with his base stats. Base attack speed went from 0.67 to 0.60. Our subjugate damage based on target's maximum health went from 20, 27.5, 35 plus 2% per 100 AP went to 20, 25, 30% plus 2% per 100 AP. Trundle's strength as a champion is very dependent on what the enemy team picks him into. He's one of the best anti-tank bruisers out there, being able to steal their stats and deal 1/3 of their entire health bar in max HP's damage. Considering Riot wants to bring back tanks this preseason, it only makes sense to try and keep Trundle in line early. If tanks are good, Trundle is good. Very simple concept. Then the next champion we have is Yuumi. Passive pop and block. Cooldown 14 to 6 seconds based on level went to 18 to 6 seconds. Then we have our final chapter. Root duration went from 1.75 seconds to 1.25 seconds. Yuumi has been announced to be on the receiving end of a full champion rework. We assume these changes are already leading us towards that, but we can only imagine how Riot will attempt to make the magical kitten both fun to play and fun to play against. We are very excited for further announcements in that regard. The next champion we have is Zag, and we'll start with passive cell division. Healing per chunk went from 4, 4.75, 5.5, 6.25 based on our rank maximum HP to 4, 5, 6, 7% based on our rank maximum HP. Then we have Q stretching strikes. Cooldown went from 15, 13.5, 12, 10.5, 9 seconds went to 14, 12.5, 11, 9.5, 8 seconds damage. Base damage went from 40, 55, 75, 70, 85, 100 plus 2.5 of Zag's maximum health went to 40, 55, 70, 85, 100 plus 4% of Zag's maximum health. And the changes Zag received to his Q base damage are absolutely massive, going from 2.5 to 4% of his maximum health, as well as reducing its cooldown. It is difficult to predict just how much he will benefit from these changes, but as his current main build path favors the new Jackshaw as well as the buffed Sunfire Cap, we can expect to see Zag sitting very comfortably in the S tier of junglers in 12.23. Similar to Maokai, he also has the ability to be flex picked into top lane and support, although these role choices are not as popular as right now. Then the next champion we have is Zeri, and we'll start with the base stats of move speed went from 325 to 330, base attack damage 50 to 53, base armor 20 to 24, base health 600, 630, attack speed ratio from 0.568 to 0.625, HP growth from 109 to 115. Then we have a passive live-in battery. Fully charged base attack damage went from 90 to 200 based on level, plus 90% AP, plus 1 to 15% based on level. Target maximum HP went all the way to plus 110 AB. Then the other skill, which is got a shield bonus, went from 10% multiplicative move speed went to 10% move speed. Note, this shouldn't make the shield stack worse with other move speed sources. Then we have bonus move speed duration went from 3 to 2 seconds. Then we have Q burst fire range from 825 to 750, conversion of excess attack speed to bonus AD 60% to 70%. Then you have physical damage went from 8, 11, 14, 17, 20 plus 100, 105, 110, 115, 120% AD went to 15, 18, 21, 24, 27 plus 104, 108, 112, 116, 120% AD. W ultra shock laser damage type went from magic to physical. Physical damage went from 20, 55, 90, 125, 160 plus 100% AD plus 40% AP went to 20, 60, 100, 140, 180 plus 130% AD plus 25% AP. Then we have cast time went from 2.5 second, 2.5x stack time to 0.55 to 0.3 seconds based on attack speed. Missile speed went from 2200 to 2500. Beam cast time went from 0.75 seconds to 0.85 seconds. Then we have E Spark Surge. Mana cost went from 80 to 90, 85, 80, 75, 70. Cooldown went from 24, 22.5 to 21, 19.5, 18 seconds to 22, 21, 20, 19, 18 seconds. New, which is lightning rounds or magic for 5 seconds after using her E. Zeri gains lightning rounds and her Q burst. Fire will deal additional damage, magical damage to the first enemy hit. Another skill, which is also an addition in this patch, bonus magic damage to the first target hit with lightning sounds went from 20, 22, 24, 26, 28 plus 20% AP plus 12% bonus AD. This damage is increased by up to 65 based on Zeri's critical strike chance. Then we have lightning rounds pierce damage fall off after the first target hit went from 60, 70, 80, 90, 100% went to 80, 85, 90, 95, 100%. Then we have vision while sliding on terrain went from 850 units to 1500 units. The last skill that was changed was our lightning crash. Removed was short-circuited. Zeri's overcharged attack no longer deal 5, 10, 15 plus 15% AP bonus magic damage on hit. Chain lightning range went from 450 to 650. On cast magic damage went from 150 to 150, 350 plus 80% AP plus 80% bonus AD went to 175 to 175, 375 plus 110% AP plus 100% bonus AD. Kershaw, if Zeri's R hits at least one enemy champion, Zeri gains 10% move speed, 30% attack speed, and chaining shots for 5 seconds, hitting champions with Q or auto attacks. Refresh this buff by 1.5 seconds. Note, this buff cannot be extended to be longer than its original duration. Boundless energy, hitting enemy champions grants Zeri 1 stack, 3 stacks for critical strikes, of overcharge for 1.5 seconds. Zeri gains 0.5% move speed for each stack of overcharge and stacking indefinitely. Zeri is practically getting a whole rework in this patch. She's just too new of a champion for Riot to really call it that, but with the amount of text and changes she's just getting, it's definitely close to a full rework. Zeri has been a failed champion upon her release. She's a balanced nightmare and has dominated pro far too long while somehow managing to be utterly irrelevant in solo queue. In light of that, Riot has decided that it's time to make some big changes. Only time will tell if these changes will bring her back into the solo queue meta. We are basically getting her re-released, so rejoice. So the next thing we have here is jungle adjustments, jungle companions. Um, when we have companion attack damage when which is at 20 plus 15% AD plus 10% AP plus 4% bonus health, went to 16 plus 15% AD plus 10% AP plus 3% bonus magic health plus 10% bonus armor plus 10% bonus magic resist. Then we have bigger companions need more treats. After their first evolution, jungle companions will consume 2 bonus treats on large monster kills and receive the associated benefits. Bonus treat gold, 50 gold went to 35 gold. Removed, epic monsters are spooky. The 20% bonus damage provided by companions no longer work on epic monsters. And then we have jungle camps. Gromp attack range went from 175 to 150. Crimson Raptor attack range went from 300 to 200. Leash range centers have been offset from camp spawn location, giving more space for champions to move and kite. Jungle camp experience given multiplier went from 1.025, 1.075, 1.15, 1.15, 1.25, 1.25, 1.35 levels 1 through 9 went to 1.025, 1.075, 1.2, 1.2, 1.3, 1.3, 1.45 levels 1 through 9. To summarize all of this, despite the dominance of Heartsteel as an item, tanks have been struggling to match the untold powers of bruisers like Udyr and Hecarim. Riot themselves stated, if we observe negative meta effects as a result of Heartsteel or tank meta, then we're going to react, but we'll let it play out for now to stabilize, which seems to be a very reasonable way to go about this. Almost all tanks receiving buffs this patch have been underperforming recently. Whilst both the players and Riot don't want a return of all tank meta, it seems that tanks are here to stay for season 13. Now the only thing we would want to yet see as Udyr hotfixes. And that's it for this patch's update. For more information about the latest updates for your favorite champions, please join us at Rift School. Until next time.